CEOs are not just randomly taking phone calls at random times. They're already thinking about meeting with stakeholders. They're thinking about meeting with the board. They're thinking about, and they put that stuff on the calendar well in advance. 37% of meetings don't even have an agenda.
We're not talking about those meetings because we understand, right? But you do have to meet. You cannot create something of the magnitude that you're trying to create without meeting about it.
If you're a creative entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out how to take your thing to the next level and you're trying to figure out how to create culture, then get in the habit of creating meetings that energize people.
Yeah. You don't prepare when you're there, you prepare prior to you getting there. Based on you listening to this podcast, you're probably a creative entrepreneur who's ready to stop hustling for clients and start building a business that runs on purpose, profit, and peace.
If that's you, we want to invite you to join the Creative to CEO Challenge, a 5-day live coaching experience designed to help you shift your mindset and develop the habits to turn your creativity into consistent cash flow.
And it's all happening live on Zoom inside a private community of ambitious creative entrepreneurs just like you. People who are done guessing, done grinding, and ready to build with clarity and confidence.
By the end of the challenge, you'll have a crystal clear direction on your next 90 days, a profit plan that fits your lifestyle, and the framework to start earning 10K plus months doing what you love without burning out or selling out.
So if that sounds like what you need, then tap the link in the description or scan the QR code if you're watching this on screen. And do not forget to upgrade to VIP for bonus coaching and behind the scenes Q&A every day of the challenge with me and Shai.
We can't wait to help you unlock CEO mode and the freedom you've been working for. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Welcome to the Minding My Creative Business podcast, the #1 podcast for creative entrepreneurs to learn strategy, structure, and self-development. I'm your co-host, Ronnie Play Jr.
And I am your co-host, Shai Speaks, and this is going to be another fire episode. Why? Because we're moving into something that I think is very important for the creative CEO. We're talking about meeting rhythms, right? Meeting rhythms are important for sustainability. Now, I just threw out a big vocabulary word, and some people got stuck at meeting, right? Meeting like, these meetings make me yawn. No, we're talking about the meetings that drive decisions, right? If you want to start a business, you can launch it all you want, but you want to be able to sustain it. You're going to have be in you have to be in like the habit of regularly reviewing what's going on in the company, and that requires meetings. So we're gonna help you out with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, we get it. We've come from environments to where we're part of meetings and we're like, dog, couldn't this has been an email? So we're not talking about those meetings because we understand, right? But you do have to meet. You cannot create something of the magnitude that you're trying to create without meeting about it.
Right. The reason why is because a business has decisions that have to happen, and the decisions have to happen based on you actually reviewing KPIs, right? What we call key performance indicators. How is your business performing? If I look at this lets me know. So I'm looking at the spreadsheet. I'm looking at the inventory. I'm looking at customer satisfaction. I'm reviewing the surveys that we ask for at the end of each whatever. I'm looking at what our reviews are saying. So like I have to sit down and look at these things because these things drive decisions. These are KPI, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I can never, you could just do it on your own, but then you have to sit down and meet about it with the team so that you all are all on sync, and this is going to drive how we're going to do things forward. Maybe even social media, if that makes you feel comfortable. I'm looking at my social media metrics and I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. And now based on what's happening in social media, the team and I are talking that, hey, we found these were performing. So what we're going to do in our next upcoming content shoot, we're going to shoot a few more of these and a little less of these. Right. That decision was made because we had time to review it and we did it in the meeting, and it can't just be all random times of the night. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah. He's just calling. Let's meet right now. No, we need to have some set stuff in motion. Yeah. We need to have a rhythm to it.
No, and that's like you said. It's like a lot of times we're just having discussions, but like you said, those discussions should lead to decisions, not just blanketed discussions where it's like, "What was? Hey, we could have, you know." So yeah, nah.
That's why we're not talking about unproductive meetings. So let's go ahead and clear the air on how we make a meeting productive. We're not going to sit here and talk about oh, we can click off because they finna talk about what makes an effective meeting. I know that. No, we're going to talk about meeting rhythms and what you should install in your business so that you're thinking like a CEO, right? CEOs are not just randomly taking phone calls at random time. You think the CEO of like Coca-Cola is talking about, hey, I got this idea. Hey, what's such and such? They need to know they have a meeting rhythm. We'll get into that. But like I'm telling you, like I was thinking about this, like they're already thinking about meeting with stakeholders. They're thinking about meeting with the board. They're thinking about, and they put that stuff on the calendar well in advance, right? And that's what we want you to start doing is thinking about what needs to be discussed and putting it in advance. And we'll tell you how to do so. But we need to get past what is an unproductive meeting. So let's talk about what is an effective meeting. What should be there?
So we talk about the 4 Ps, right? So there's 4 Ps. I love alliteration, right? Where there's the purpose, like why are we meeting? What is the meeting about? The people, who needs to be involved in this meeting, right? Because a lot of times people will be in those meetings that don't got to be there, right? And then you don't want to have too many, chefs in the kitchen cooking, right? And so depending on once again what the purpose of that meeting is.
Right.
In some cases, you might want to brainstorm and ideate and have other people in there, but in a lot of cases that's not the case. And then we want to talk about your process, like are we discussing processes or the process of the meeting, and then the product, like as a result of this meeting, this is what we're walking away with, right? Or we may be discussing a product, but either way, those are the things: purpose, people, process, product.
As I listen to you say that, purpose, people, what was it? Purpose, people, process, and then you said product, or we can even use the word payoff. Like,
Right.
what is the payoff from this meeting? Or like you said, what is the end result?
Right.
This needs to be leading somewhere. But ultimately, what that makes me think of is that an agenda. Every meeting needs an agenda.
Yeah.
You guys are just hopping on calls,
Right.
right? Are we creative? We going off the vibe? We just hopping on calls? We're just going to kind of just chop it up and just see where it lead. Like, no, we need to have an agenda. 37% of meetings don't even have an agenda. And that's like, really, let's just call that 40%,
Right.
So we just, 40% of the time, we just on here, what? Just shooting in the dark.
Right. So 37% don't have an agenda, and then 67% of C-suite executives that are in these meetings, they saying that the agenda is important, right? So it's like you got 40% where you ain't got a meeting, and then the other 6% are saying, but we need one. So they see the importance of it. So why we ain't got no agenda?
Why don't we have an agenda? You know why we don't have an agenda? It's because we haven't done what we're talking about. We have not installed the rhythm. And when I install the rhythm, I think about who we need to meet with, what we need to discuss. So let's go back to that example I just gave.
Yeah.
If I'm a corporate of a Fortune 500, and that's what some of you guys say, oh, I'm a billionaire, I'm a multi-millionaire. Well, guess what? If you're like that, and I was giving an example of the corporates, some of those Fortune 500 companies who've gone public, they're meeting with a stakeholder, the annual or biannual stakeholders meeting, and all the shareholders or whomever, right? So when we meet with them, we're not going to just go off the vibe when we get in there. Since we've already planned that meeting next year, we're going to meet with them. Here it is. We're in September. We already know we're going to meet with our next shareholder. It's going to be September 15th. We're just going to go ahead and put that on the calendar. And what are we going to be talking to them about? That's the first thing we're going to ask ourselves.
Exactly.
We're not going to just be, how long is this meeting going to be, right? We're going to actually, we'll keep it an hour because we're just going to give them everything they need to know within an hour. And so how are we going to make sure we give it to them within an hour, right? Because now we're going to come up with the process about how we're going to effectively communicate in an hour and leave room for them to have questions or Q&A, things like that. What's going to be the product? They're going to walk away knowing where the earnings are, what the dividends are going to pay out for what's the new structure, who's the IPO, if there's a new CEO, if there's a new leadership. They're going to walk away with all the information, and they're going to walk away with knowing where we are in the trajectory and how we can expect to see the numbers turn over time. Why? Because we don't want them to pull their money out. See, this is real CEO talk.
Right.
When I say we don't want them to pull their money out, we're talking about the shareholders, stakeholders. We don't want them to pull out their funds because we need, we've gone public, right? So that's an important meeting. I'm just giving you the example of why. So we're not even having that kind of meeting without an agenda, because that's an important meeting. Half the time, the reason why we don't have an agenda is because it's not even an important meeting.
Right. Right.
It's not
And listen, I know y'all like, well, you're talking about stakeholders and well, we're not there yet. Listen, but that's the thing. You're not there yet, but the goal is for you to get there, right? And even if you're not there yet, you want to get into practice, right? As AI was like, practice, we talking about practice. Like, no, you have to practice it and develop the rhythm so when you get there, it's not new to you. It's not foreign to you. You know what I'm saying? So don't brush past this conversation because you're not there yet. You don't prepare when you're there. You prepare prior to you getting there. So I just wanted to kind of, put that out there because they're like stakeholders. We ain't got no stakeholders. You know what I'm saying? But you may be the stakeholder, or you know what I'm saying? It's like
you are a stakeholder. You're currently the 100% stakeholder. But some of you all are saying, "Well, I need investors." Okay, so if you had investors, you'd have to start having an investor meeting. So if you already know you're preparing to have an investor or two, like let me go ahead and put an investors meeting on my calendar. See, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about installing meeting rhythms, even though you don't even have the investor yet. Because if I had the investors, what would I be talking to them about? This is what we see. See, this is what.
No, wait a minute. Don't brush over that. If I had an investor, what would I be talking to them about? So that's going to take you some soul searching to see what should I be talking about. Because like you said, there may be some needs. We had a conversation with somebody the other day and we asked them, what do you need to take this to the next level? And that's something that they had not thought about.
Right.
If somebody came to you and was like, what do you need? They wouldn't be able to answer that question. Right. And you never want to be in that position. Right.
Exactly.
So that's why you start preparing for these things now before you get in that seat so that you can have the answers for them. So.
Right. So now we have on my calendar next year, I have 2 meetings where I meet with my investors. I already just put them on the calendar. And when I'm meeting with them, I'm going to be talking about these are the things that's going to be in the agenda, right? So they can be effective. We can have a payoff, a product. They're going to walk away knowing where the company stands. I'll walk away knowing where my where our financials are because they're going to infuse a little bit more cash into the business, and so we'll know where we're going, right? This is just an example. Or if you already have investors like, dang, they feel like they don't know what's going on. And a lot of times people get into issues. I've talked to a lot of creative entrepreneurs and they're like, well, I had investors and it just didn't work out. Were they informed? Did they know what was going on? Did they feel left out of the situation, not knowing where their money is at?
Yeah.
I've heard, haven't you?
No, I definitely heard that. And I've had conversations with people, like you said, because it's like they felt some kind of way because the investor felt some kind of way, but it's like there was no communication, right? They weren't clear on what to expect from you. You weren't clear on what to expect from them because there was no meeting. It was just kind of like, okay, we're giving you this money, do what you do, and that was it.
Right.
Like,
and then you go just touch back in when, like whenever the vibe kicks in. No, whenever I feel it, like whenever. No, let's set it on the calendar. So these are stakeholders. Then we move beyond that. And if you're a nonprofit or something like that, and you have a board of directors, or even if you're a for-profit business and you have a board of advisors, people that advise you, let's go ahead and put them on the calendar in advance, right? So I'm going high level view, and we'll drill down eventually to where we get to the point where the more frequent meetings, but at least we're touching bases with people who have a vested interest or in this particular company, in this creative based business. This is how CEOs think.
Yeah, and even in doing so, those meetings, it helps you to review what you currently have, right? A lot of times we get so caught up in the weeds of things that we just don't stop and pause and review. We don't audit, right? Auditing what you're doing is not a negative thing. When you hear audit, a lot of people, they fear that, they run from that. It's like, no, you have to audit. You have to be honest with yourself of where you are because you're trying to get somewhere, right? So having these meeting rhythms in these times, whether it's monthly, quarterly, whatever the case may be, it forces you to stop. It forces you to look and inspect and see, what am I doing well? What can I improve in? What needs to be tweaked and adjusted so then I can go ahead and do that. And hopefully you're getting to the goals and objectives that you're setting out to accomplish with this phenomenal creative business that you have. Exactly.
A lot of creative entrepreneurs now are like, man, and I'm give him kudos. Like, man, I got this business coach. You know, I got Ron. You know, he's my creative business coach, and he's helping me set my goals, and he's helping me do this. But at some point, while you with the coach, you're probably reviewing it. But when you're no longer with the coach, do you have meeting rhythms set up with yourself to review these things? Like, and sometimes it's nobody gonna be involved, and nobody else gonna be in the meeting but you. Right? It's just a time that you set aside on your calendar to review something. But that goes back to what you were talking about earlier when you said there was too many cooks in the creative kitchen, because you can have too many people in the meeting. But what about, like, I think we need to talk about who needs to be in the meeting a little bit, because when we talk about creative-based business, let's drill in a little bit when it comes to that. Let's say you have the design element. Who all needs to be involved in design or the creation process?
Right. Yeah, I mean, anybody that's going to help move it forward and help get you to that goal and objective. So I've been in meetings to where I'm one of the people where it's like a needs to know basis, right? So it's like, if I don't need to know this information, I don't need to be in this meeting, right? Because what does it do? But now I know some people think, well, I just want to know. And for what, right? It's like, I'm so busy, I have a lot on my plate to where it's like, I limit the amount of information that I intake, right? So for me, it's not important. Even though I can be a great asset, I don't need to be in all these meetings, right? So you got to identify, okay, based off of where we're trying to go, right? Based off of, you know, what needs to happen for this to get us there, who needs to be there. So you may have, listen, sometimes it may just be 1 or 2 people that's in that meeting. Sometimes it may be 5 or 6, but you got to see who is going to move this forward. Because that's what once again, we're having discussions for decision making to move us forward and propel us. So if this person's not going to be there, or is this person not going to help us to propel and move it forward, they don't got to be in the meeting.
Right. And also, I would say the importance of meeting rhythms is, you know, like we talked about reviewing what's going on, you know, being able to have that forecast and that decision making. But I'd also say on the back of what we're talking about with who needs to be in a meeting, the other important aspects of meeting rhythms is that we would have, it affects your culture, right? Because if you have ineffective meetings, is going to bleed into the culture of the company, right? So what you talk about is I could be there, maybe I'm good at ideation, but that's really not in my wheelhouse. It's not in my purview of my task. It's not my role. I don't need to be there. But what happens is you have people, too many cooks in the kitchen. Now it's creating like this. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? It can mess with the culture.
Yeah. But and it affects the culture, because what happens is it can convolute it. And anytime there's convolution, anytime there's cloudiness and fogginess, that affects morale. And then you got people hemming and hawing like, oh, we got to go to a meeting. And then that affects creativity. I mean, that's not productivity. And one thing as well is like, you got to, every time that you call a meeting, you're stopping productivity in some other area, right? Now, don't get me wrong, it can affect the overall productivity in a good way, but if they're meaningless and if you got the wrong people there, then you're pulling them from one task. That's why I tell people, it's like, listen, make sure that this is important for me to be there, because I'm having to stop to do something else. And you don't understand that now if I got to go and start to do it again, that take work.
Yeah,
that's things like a car. You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that's what I was about to say. Well, just a minute ago when I was saying like it's going to bleed into the culture, because now I know more than I need to know, and it's kind of affecting my work, because I'm thinking, well, what about this? Or now, because I was in that meeting, I walked away thinking that was going to be some of my task when it's really this person's task. You know what I'm saying? But now, well, I thought, well, hey, where did the ball get dropped? Well, I was in a meeting and you said, no, I thought you was going to do that. Well, they shouldn't even have been at the table. In fact, there's like IKEA, I believe there's something I read about IKEA, and like they make sure they had like all these certain collaboration rooms, right? Not necessarily for the people that have real like full-on meetings in there, but sometimes everything will need to be like a meeting. Maybe you and this person do need to collaborate and a little chit chat, but y'all can do that off in like a more, you know what I'm trying to say, in a different space, you know, in a creative space. Y'all can have a quick chat. This is not to be in here lounging all along with the whiteboard, with the conference room thing. You know, it's not like that. So there's that. And then there are other companies who make it to where When it comes to meeting, you actually have to log your meeting into a data tool, like a meeting data tool, so that we could track how long this meeting was, who was involved in this meeting, and what was the outcome of this meeting. And if they see a person was in the meeting and they weren't really contributing anything or didn't really seem like they walked away with any tasks, this data software will be like, why was this person even in here? You know, so that was kind of ineffective for them. And so they don't have to go and bow for themselves, like saying, hey, can I please get out this meeting? And like, it will tell them, like, this person doesn't need to be there. Now that's just like at a very high level, but this is stuff that you need to be doing. We don't need a software necessarily to do that, especially if you have a smaller business. So I just wanted to put up those two things. And when I say culture and meetings matter, because some companies have made it so much, meetings are so important that they created additional spaces, little lounge hangout areas for people to collaborate. So collaboration is important. We're not talking about let's avoid collaboration. That's not what we're saying. And so you can meet in those ways over there. So we want to make it comfortable, but also we want to track the importance and the effectiveness of the meeting. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's it.
And so, yeah, that's definitely.
I mean, because it's important. I say that, you know, I'm leaning on that clarity piece. You want to be clear. The clearer you are, it helps everybody move forward. So once again, going back to the purpose of the meeting and all those things, it's like, does this have a purpose? Is this person a part of the purpose? If this person's not a part of that purpose, they don't need to be there. So
I want to know the one thing that's holding most creative entrepreneurs back? It's not the talent. It's not even the vision. It's the lack of capital. Every day I watch brilliant creatives miss life-changing opportunities simply because they can't access business funding. Traditional banks, they really don't understand creative business like that. And most lenders, well, they don't care. But guess what? That ends today with the Minding My Creative Business partnership with Credit Savant. You can access up to $150,000 in business credit. You heard correct. Up to $150,000 in business credit. They have 0% interest options with 30 plus funding programs designed for creatives just like you. So what I need you to do is visit creditsavant.io now. Tell them MMCB sent you.
So I talked to you earlier about we're going to help you install some productive meeting rhythms. We wanted you to understand the why before we did that.
Definitely.
Okay, so on that note of like the 4 Ps and what makes it effective and realizing how it affects culture, because it can create bleed into people's roles and all of that kind of stuff, or it actually makes it feel like I'm left out of the information that I need to have. You say, I don't need to know this.
Right.
But there are some people like, I didn't get the information that I needed. So we understand how that can create a company that lacks communication. It's like they just don't communicate well, you know. So and that can be your culture.
Yeah.
So we don't want that to be a culture. So we have to install the proper meetings. And so far we've only installed one meeting, and that was your high level stakeholder meeting with your stakeholders, most creative entrepreneurs that we are talking to, who are either just like emerging or who've been established for a while but just trying to go to that next level as a CEO. They probably haven't gone public yet, but that doesn't mean you don't have investors. And so that's that annual or biannual meeting that you're doing with those investors. So that's a high level. You don't have to meet with them very frequently, but they are informed.
Right.
Let's move to the next meeting level. Now we have a quarterly meeting, right? With the quarterly meeting, we want you to go ahead and install it on your calendar. When are my quarterly meetings going to happen? I know this kind of sounds crazy, but it's what happens. It's the rhythm. This is how we're going to meet about these things. What you got to have from your
No, that's how I said that every 3 months. Every 3 months, you need to be having that quarterly meeting because you're planning out the quarter. Like, okay, what are we focusing on this quarter and things like that. So yeah, and like you said, just put it on your calendar. That's 4 times out of the year.
That's it.
That's 4 meetings.
That's 4 meetings. That's it. I need you to put 4 meetings on your calendar. You're going to pick a day of the week that these particular meetings happen. These meetings happen on the 3rd Wednesday, or they always happen on the 4th Thursday of the month. Just go ahead, circle that time out, put it on the 4th meeting, go into the calendar. Does this meeting repeat? Yes, it does repeat. What time does it repeat and for how long, right?
Yeah, every 3 months.
Right.
That's a simple. Like that. You got Google or any of the calendar software, it should be able to do that.
Right.
And it's there. You forget. I mean, not forget about it, but you put it there. It's there.
Right, and we know what so okay, I have 4 meetings on my calendar, what we're doing. Like you just said, it's the 90-day sprint. Oftentimes, when you're working with these coaches, especially the creative business coaches, when you're working with anybody that is maybe a chief operation officer, you're working with a operations contractor, if you're working even with a social media team, they're going to say, we'll work with you for the next 90 days, 90 days, 90 days. So this is why we're saying put this quarterly calendar on there. So anybody you've been working with in 90-day sprints, you're going to be reviewing what happened in those 90 days, right? Social media company, I brought them in for 90 days. Let's see how it went. Hey, so it's like, man, well, when are we going to meet to talk about what happened? Because we want to see if you want to renew this contract.
Right.
You already have a calendar you already have an appointment on your calendar for that upcoming quarterly meeting. So I'm on the call with my contractor, who's my social media person. We did a 90-day situation. And when can we review that? I'm not trying to find some random meeting to put on. Hey, okay, my next quarterly meeting is coming up on this day. I'm going to go ahead and invite you to that meeting. Does that work for you? We're not putting a new meeting on the calendar.
Right.
This is the same meeting we were already going to have. Now we just have to work them into the agenda because we know we're going to be reviewing social metrics on that particular call. If I had like a particular designer or somebody that I collaborated with, we did a lunch together. Maybe I make some kind of food, or maybe I make some type of clothing, and I collaborate with somebody, and we launched it.
Right.
We want to see how it happens in 90 days. When are we going to meet about it? You don't have to put a new meeting on your calendar. You can add them to the already existing upcoming 90-day calendar if you want to do it that way.
Right.
And these are people who you work with, you're going to be working with regularly. Or even if not, you're just like, this is just a good place here. So we know on this particular meeting, this quarterly meeting, it's probably not going to be an hour, maybe a little bit longer, because we're going to go over the internal company numbers of what we're going over, like what are all our key performance indicators. We're going to go over our financials. And then, of course, at the end of the last 30 minutes, we're going to let them hop on the call, right? So that these other outside parties are hopping in. So we had the internal meeting for about an hour, and then that last 30 minutes, hey, I'm going to have them come in. They're going to talk about whatever it is that they were talking about,
Right.
and we're going to go through it like that. What do you think about what I'm saying?
No, I mean, it's cool. I love the fact that, and once again, so you have this quarterly meeting that's, expansive, but then the different elements that you need to discuss, you have them there. So, and everybody ain't got to be there for the whole time. Right? So it's like if you got your social media person, they come in, they say they spiel, and they can bounce. They don't need to stay there you may meet with your CPA as well, right? Or who's doing your financials, right? So I love that idea with just having it just one and just putting everybody into that one, so then you don't have to have multiple. Right. That's what happens when you start having multiple. Then that's when you start to get that in that rut, right? That's when you start to get that burnout and you start to feel some kind of way about it. But it's like, no, let's just do this. We meet with, put everybody there. That's our quarterly meeting.
Right.
I love it.
So you can, and I talked about it the other way. I say you can have the team meeting for an hour and then everybody else for the remainder, or you can do it the opposite way, right? So that quarterly meeting is there. It's already a 2-hour meeting or a 90-minute meeting or a 2-hour meeting on your calendar. You already know that I've invited this person, and this person to review what we've done in 90. Now, when I say this person, these are all key people who have done something in your creative-based business who you need to review their 90-day work with. And are we going to renew, or how we're going to shift, or we're going to go over their metrics. So you're going to say, hey, we already have this on the 3rd Thursday of the month. It's actually upcoming. I'm going to invite you. You'll see that on the calendar, it says 2 hours. You don't have to be there the whole time. We're just going to have you come in at the top of the call. Yeah. You're going to say everything you need to say. We're going to talk about it. The rest of the team will be on the call. They're on there the whole time. Right. The actual internal full team is on there. We're going to have somebody, you're going to drop off. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. And the next 30 minutes in, I have this another person coming on. We're going to talk for about 30 minutes. We're going to drop off the call. This whole time, that core team is on there. Now that those 2 people have dropped off the call, all right, cool. Now it's just us. What y'all think about those 2 meetings? Cool. We got the information from that. That's going to inform what we're going to do. Now we're going to meet about what we need to meet about, and then boom, we're off the call. So it's a little bit of a lengthier quarterly meeting, but you can now add people to this quarterly meeting instead of a whole new day. All I do is meet. Well, if you just add them to the quarterly meeting.
Yeah. And like you said, it's I rather have a lengthier meeting than have all these small meetings throughout, because once again, that's draining. Yeah. But if I'm setting aside a day and I know we got 2 hours or whatever, to me That's to me, it seems more effective. I mean, I know to you as well, but I'm just saying.
And that's another thing that happens when it comes to meeting rhythms. We talk about having meeting rhythms because it is going to help us review what we need to review. The meeting rhythm is going to set culture in our company, but more importantly, it's going to help sustain energy. We're not wasting energy, and that is about sustainability. You know what I mean? So this is why we talk about those things. And we're going to move on. We're going to install a monthly meeting. I'll let Ron, I'm sure you've probably been in the plethora of monthly meetings in your life, right? But if you just had a very effective quarterly meeting, you have all the information you need to move forward, we can take us into the monthly meeting, right?
Right. And like I said, it's a similar concept, but once again, it's not going to be as robust as your quarterly, right? But because you're breaking your quarterly down to monthly goals and tasks, right? So you want to review and see, okay, cool. For us to be on track for this 90-day sprint, right? What needs to happen in this month, right? So we're going to put those tasks and tactics in place for that month. So who needs to be a part of that meeting because they're helping you to fulfill that. And then you're going to meet and see, okay, cool. Did we do everything that we were supposed to do by the end of this month so that going into the next month, we can focus on the next month's tasks? Or are there things that we have to carry over in order for us to get to, once again, that 90 days? So it all feeds to one another. So going back, even taking a step back further. So your annual feeds your quarterly, then your quarterly feeds the monthly, right? So that's why those are important to have those monthly. But yeah, it's like we reviewing and seeing, okay, cool. Did we do everything? What do we need to do further? And then does it need to roll over? And once again, those are still it's not with the key stakeholders. You're not meet with them that often, right? But these are people that are boots to the ground, people that are going out and doing the tactics or implementing what it is that your mission is.
I'd even add to that with that meeting rhythm, that's a space for them to bring up certain things about how they feel, the people who are doing the work, how they feel about certain things, just kind of getting the internal feedback.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of table that for the monthly meeting. Like, man, I really feel like it'll be cool if we change this, or, you know, like we don't need to change that right away.
Yeah.
Like if there's something that needs to be changed, like this is ineffective, then we obviously need to put that in a weekly joint so we can hear them fix that. But if it's something that, like, it's just something I feel is not pressing, great. You know what? That's a really good. Let's bring that up on the all teams meeting, that monthly meeting, right? So we have an agenda for that meeting. We're making sure that we're on track to hit whatever our 90-day goals are. But more so, we're having an opportunity to feedback and hear from each other. You want to build some rapport in some of these meetings as well, because again, culture is there. It's like, dang, they're just slamming through. It's always them telling me they're driving. You want to kind of get a little feedback as well, get a little collaboration going.
No, that's definitely. I mean, listen, it's you need those spaces for that rapport building within these meeting spaces. Because I mean, at the end of the day, nobody likes meetings. Now, if they're done effectively and done right, people like the results of them, but nobody likes doing them. So part of that rapport building and things like that helps to make it a little bit more bearable.
Right. Or actually, it won't even have to be bearable. It'll be like, man, these are cool. I feel informed. I feel like I feel heard.
Yeah.
Right? People want to feel heard. They don't want to feel talked to.
Yeah.
So some people may walk away feeling like, all right, this is cool. Add a little laughter, kind of build the look, so it didn't feel as stiff as everything else. So it could eventually get to the point where, oh man, quarterly meetings, I feel bad because, like, did I hit my numbers? Did I do this? Did I do that? You know, weekly meetings is like, oh, we gotta get this done, get out this. But the monthly meetings, we get to talk, everybody, we get a little collaboration. Like, I enjoy those. I get to, we get heard, we get out, so you can get to the point, you can create a culture where people enjoy some aspect of it. And if you get to the point where you're like really doing well as a company, this is one of my goals. We haven't done it yet in our company, but I like for our annual meeting to like me be able to take the team somewhere, right? So we're meeting instead of like, I live in Dallas, Texas. I'd like to go to like maybe somewhere in Florida or something, or by the beach, and we'd like meet over there, right? And so now are they gonna be enjoying these meetings? Oh yeah. So you could create meetings and make them enjoyable, right? So we have our annual meeting. We go to this place. I book out. We get a couple rooms, and of course, sometimes when you get a couple rooms, they'll let you have the meeting space or the conference room. You can kind of reserve that, just kind of pro bono. And so we have our meetings there. We talk, and then after that, we go hang in the city. You have your own time to go hang. We have to do everything together as a team bonding. So there are people who are meeting like that, and they enjoy company meetings because it becomes, You know what I'm saying? Something effective. So anyway, I just try to say you can create a culture like that. I'm just telling you, maybe that's something you can install. Maybe you're already at this point where you know what, that's a good idea. We already have that kind of money in the company. I could afford to do maybe like a couple thousand and cover just this core team to go, and they'll enjoy it. But we can really get in there and knock a lot out in the meeting because they're having so much fun. So put that into your meeting rhythms. The meetings are supposed to not just help you review, not just help you make decisions. It's supposed to help you stave off negative energy and refresh positive energy.
Yeah.
Right? It should refresh you.
No.
You know,
No.
I'm not going to get into how to install a weekly meeting. I think you guys know that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I would say when it comes to daily meetings, I think a lot of times people think a daily meeting has to happen every single day. You know what I'm trying to say? But it's like, because technically a daily meeting, but I think you can have like, they're considered daily if they're like on Mondays and Wednesdays, because they're not technically like, it's not a once a meeting, or we meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like that's our, you know what I'm trying to say? So you have room for that, but I do think that there's only a few people that you may need to be talking to daily.
Yeah.
Honestly, you may not need to be talking to anybody.
Right.
Really. That may need to be an email. That may need to be a text. That may need to be,
Yeah.
come on, because let's go back to what we talked about from the beginning. We want to have meeting rhythms and not a meeting rut, the kind of make you yawn, the kind of make you like,
Yeah.
this did not move the needle forward. That's why you need to have another thing installed, and that is a communication channel. That's an effective channel.
Yeah.
So we actually having little small meetings on the chat,
Yeah.
right? So boom, boom, we talk what we need to talk. We uploaded it here to the portal, you know, all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like we emailed, we got it situated. We have our project management tool. We were able to talk right there. We didn't necessarily need that. So if you're having effective monthly meetings,
Yeah.
you really shouldn't need all these daily meetings, especially if you have a weekly meeting. we're not even gonna go weekly and daily. I want you to focus on, I got 12 meetings on my calendar monthly.
Yeah.
I have 4 quarterly, and I have another one that's a annual. So how much? That's 12 plus 4 plus 1. You have 17 meetings in a year out of 365 days.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of meetings.
Not at all.
If you make those effective, you won't be doing all those daily or weekly, but get in the rhythm of that and find ways to make this is what I'm going to say. If you're a creative entrepreneur and you're trying to figure out how to take your thing to the next level, and you're trying to figure out how to create culture, then get in the habit of creating meetings that energize people.
Yeah.
It refreshes them.
Yeah.
It's a culture of communication and transparency.
Yeah.
That's what the meetings are for. It's a culture where we make decisions and we move things forward. We don't stall and we're not stagnant. That all comes from there. And it is a meeting and a culture where we're reviewing what's going on and letting the data speak to us and not just our feelings.
Definitely. Yeah. And now we had an episode, we talked about data, the importance of data, feeding your decisions. And yeah, so once you get the data, you definitely want to meet about it and have a conversation about it and discuss the data.
Right.
Because it's one thing to have the data. If you do nothing with the data, then that's irrelevant, but that's another
topic for another time.
Another time.
So I would say this, on that note of what you just said, I would say go check out that episode. We actually brought in someone who is an AI data engineer, expert type of person. We have a playlist called Resources for Creative Entrepreneurs. So if you're trying to figure out how to like really use data to make it be informative, go check out our Resources for our Creative Entrepreneurs playlist and look for that data episode. One of the things that I didn't mention that you probably, if you at this point of the conversation, we're here at the end, you probably heard it earlier. We made mention of it in the middle of the episode. But the reason why we're talking about meeting rhythms is because Ron and I, we put together this Creative CEO Challenge, right? And this Creative CEO Challenge, in it, we have sustainability. And a part of sustainability is you have to have the proper rhythms, the financial rhythms, but they have to be attached to proper meeting rhythms, right? And so, listen, I love the idea that we've come up with to help our audience members with the Creative CEO Challenge. And so, again, you've already heard about it, but I'm going to tell you about it one more time because we want to invite you to get yourself registered so you can be a part of the next upcoming challenge. And you're going to go through it with other creative CEOs, just like yourself, just for 5 days. But it's the most impactful 5 days because we put a lot into what it would take for you to step into CEO mode.
Yeah, no, definitely. We want to help you to develop, the clarity that you need. and the systems and structure that you need so that you can sustain. So no, we're excited about it. And yes, there's going to be a link in the bio or the comments, wherever you are engaging with this content. There'll be a link for you to click to join the next cohort. So join that so that you can experience that transformation that you need to get from where you are now to where you're trying to get to within your creative business.
Right. So the cool thing about the Creative to CEO Challenge is not just that it's 5 days live, cool mentor, live coaching. It's not all of that. It's not just that. It's just that you walk away with a real like CEO, a creative CEO playbook. And then also you walk away with a signature offer that's going to help you be able to scale to like those 10K months if you're not there. If you're at 10K, we're going beyond that because we put some stuff in place based on the experience we've had with the people we've worked with, the people we've helped in our own experience as creative entrepreneurs, and even beyond our experience, because that's what we do here on this channel. We interview 6, 7, 8-figure creative entrepreneurs. And so we're like think tanking with them and pulling everything that we know into this particular challenge. So do take the challenge. Again, Creative to CEO Challenge. You're invited to be a part of it. It's not just a challenge. You're going to be a part of the community as well. So, yeah.
All right. So on that note, we want to thank you for watching and listening. We encourage you to comment, share, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. But share with another creative entrepreneur that you know could benefit from this information, because once again, our goal is to reach 1 million creative entrepreneurs to help them transition from where they are to where they're trying to get to within their creative business. So yeah, share.
Matter of fact, I want to put a little challenge together right now outside of the Creative the CEO Challenge. You want to click the link and join that. But like when you share, don't just like share it to your story. Let me see if you share it to your story. I may enter you into a chance to win. Maybe let's see, like about $100. Let's see. Anybody that's doing that, we got you. If you make sure you tag us. Now I'm like, oh, I shared it. Nobody saw it. Tag us, tag us at MMCB podcast, right? No, actually it's that's I said it right. Okay. And then of course, while we're talking about that, you want to go to mmcbpodcast.com if you also want to join that creative challenge. We want to thank you in advance for joining, because we know it's going to be fire just because you're there. Thank you so much for tuning in to this particular episode about meeting rhythms. We really, really hope that you are able to extract something great out of it. Find you something that lets you review things. Find you something that helps you make a decision. Find you a meeting rhythm that helps you get energy and refreshes your energy and staves off negative energy. So if you put that there, you will have sustainability. And on that note, we done.
Yeah. So what's the mantra? You gotta close out the mantra.
Oh, I thought we was gonna not do the mantra.
No, we gotta do the mantra. We do the mantra every time.
No, seriously. Thank you so much for listening to us talk about these things and installing it. Hopefully you pulled out your calendar and went ahead and put those installations in on this meeting. But we don't just want you to listen to us. We want you to hear from you as well, right? So we want to give you an opportunity to speak over yourself. And we have the MMCB mantra. And I want you to repeat after me when I say this. Here we go. All it takes is intention, consistency, and laser focus to mind my creative business.
Peace.